But it looks like there's no point saying anything more to you, Major. Like that Japanese proverb, it's like water on a frog's face. Water off a duck's back. As long as you assist in my little revenge drama, you're free to chirp however you like, when it doesn't get in the way. Without that sort of outlet, you'll end up losing yourself. And I already know that you're no fun anymore when your eyes lose that rebellious glint. I hope you don't expect to die a decent death. I know this is silly, but you don't really expect to die a decent death yourself, do you? Of course not. I'll get what I deserve. Still, isn't refusing to get unrelated people involved with bare minimum rules for us villains? If that were true, the world wouldn't be so hopeless. However, Liz did become involved. As long as the demons known as Mafia exist in this world, sinless people will continue to get involved. Even those who bear no sin are facing that risk. In that case, shouldn't you villains with your hands steeped in evil bear even more of that risk than the average person? Just try and lay a hand on my sister, I'll turn it all around and tear out your guts. You misunderstand. Whether or not your sister lives a life blessed with fortune, it's not me to decide. That's a decision for you, a man who cares for his sister as much as I do. Isn't that right, Phil? Butler had a little sister in his home country. And like him, a man with both hands dirtied by personal greed, his sister was a person to be proud of. A girl who had lived a blameless life. Ever since they had gotten into a big fight long ago in adolescence, they had been estranged. She'd probably gotten long forgotten her minor villain of a brother. However, Butler never once forgot his honest, straightforward sister. Butler's information web and underworld contracts had been essential for Gabriel's revenge drama. So since Gabriel needed Butler to swear support to him no matter what, he had searched for Butler's weaknesses. Since the man he needed as a pawn also had a little sister, Gabriel might have taken it as a sign that the time for his revenge had truly come. At that moment, Butler's sister was engaged to someone she met in college. The family of this man was strict and famous locally, not as famous as Gabriel's family on his mother's side. The man's father was an important member of the city council. It was rumored that he was beginning preparations to run for mayor. At a time like that, what if it went public that Butler, the brother of his son's fiancée, was suspected of involvement in a corruption case that would shake the foundations of the GHQ? The engagement would be called off, of course. The relationship would end too. That's my fucking dipshit of a brother that I don't care about, that I haven't known since I was like 8. I don't know. I feel like that's pretty hard to connect. Like, maybe if it was like his son or like something like that, but I feel like his son's fiance's brother is like such a big leap. It's like, whoa, why am I talking about my son's fiance's brother? Like, that seems to me like really silly, especially since he has no connection to him at all. Butler's wish would be crushed, his wish that his sister would live in purity and happiness, no matter how stained with the evil his hands became. Thanks to your assistant, the tale I weave will proceed as I planned. And of course your sister's engagement will proceed as well. Of course, when the wedding comes, I intend to send a congratulatory telegram as your superior officer. Oh my. It seems I've been teasing you too much. Then let's return to being gentlemen. You damned. Butler swallowed his words. By now, no one could stop the tyrant with the name of an angel. I mean, the GDS could. Oh. Oh my god. We actually get to do this. Give me Chinese, because it could give me Alan. And it could give me Yuki. I need more of her. We've got multiple sources of info saying that, and everyone believes it. We're trying to track down whoever said it first. Who here first said that the GDS was responsible for this crime? Who do you hear it from? I believe it was... Ayah! You misunderstand. Why would I spread rumors to frame the GDS, to which I am most indebted? I would never do such a thing. If it wasn't you, then who did start the rumors? They say you saw letters detailing secret communications between the GDS and the Ba, which is a total lie. Now look at who's framing who. That must be a rumor someone set up to frame me. Why don't you just spit it out already? Who started saying we were the ones responsible for the incident? Far gotten the Japanese information peddlers to spill that they got it from the Chinese merchants. We've heard that rumor too, but it definitely wasn't us. How could someone in the care of the GDS ever voice such a terrifying rumor? Still, well, according to rumor. I mean, you're just going to be chasing your tail. It's impossible to find the start of rumors. Queen! This is why I picked this first. Alan. 3 days had passed, but there's no sign of Alan waking. Every now and then he'd get beat to sweat and start moaning in pain as though having a nightmare. Yuki couldn't do anything but wipe away the sweat. She can hold my hand. That sweat means that bad things inside his body are getting out. He is recovering on schedule. This man's will to survive is indeed strong. Of course! He's got such a wonderful girlfriend waiting for him. Of course he wants to live. Alan, I'll stay here the whole time. Please come back quickly. This whole time, Yuki had been spending the night here, constantly looking after Alan. All she could do was wipe his sweat and hold his hand when he moaned in pain. Ah, fucking Queen. Jesus Christ. However, doctors from both Eastern and Western medical science know that this is the most effective medicine. How is Alan doing? Shush! Talk quieter. How is Alan doing? His sleeping face seems somehow more peaceful than yesterday. He's okay. I believe it. I do hope he wakes up soon. Brother? He exchanged fire with the enemy. I'm sure he'll know some clue that will be vital in identifying them. Have you been able to wipe out that rumor that the GDS was responsible? I'm afraid not. I can't imagine that any of our countrymen would betray us. Some people claim that there exist letters detailing a secret correspondence between us and the Bajhangbong. Some even claim to have seen them themselves. Do they actually exist? Of course not. Someone probably forged them to frame us. If it's a forgery good enough to convince our countrymen, there's no way a foreign race could have made it. Exactly. There's a traitor amongst our countrymen who seek to frame us. Could it be someone in the Elder faction you and the others chased out? I can't deny that possibility. It's probably the remnants of the previous generation, either our group or the Bajhangbongs. So they're harassing you to take revenge for getting kicked out. It probably would be easier for them to create those forged letters, but they could not have gathered so many troops. They must have looked for assistance from a group that stands opposed to us. So does that mean there's going to be another underworld feud? Once again, people will get hurt and girls like me will end up crying over and over again. When will you men stop playing war games? It'll never end, will it? It's because you men keep starting war after war that we can't hold hands together. Alan groaned in pain. Yuki, realizing she'd gotten too loud, quickly turned to look at Alan. Those who accept defeat or run from a fight are always destroyed. Peace does not refer to a world without war. It merely refers to gaps between wars. Get out. Neither I nor Alan need to hear what you've got to say. I see. Still no clues. But we're chasing them. We're getting closer. We must identify those who forged these letters as quickly as possible. Please have them continue. There is no time. No matter how foolish a rumor is, if time is given for that paint to dry, it becomes no different from the truth. True. That's why misinformation's so bad. Especially when you just ignore it and not stamp it out and say how dumb it is. City 7. City 7, Old Sumida City. It was controlled by the Castiglione family, an Italian-American force. However, because it was sandwiched between the GDS's City 22 and Bajhangbong City 8, it was always being encroached upon by Chinese organizations. Wow, it's just City 23. For that reason, it's in opposition to the GDS and Bajhangbong and might be considered the force most friendly to Primavera. In the recent Soy Sauce War, they had been the first to answer to Madame Rose's request for assistance. They welcome anything that would result in the weakening of the GDS and Bajhangbong. In other words, they stood the most to gain from a feud breaking out between Primavera and the GDS. The Castiglione family had been at the top of the list of suspects in the minds of everyone on the GDS execs. However, Zilong didn't agree. It was hard to imagine that Don Castiglione, who was brutal and cutthroat, wanted to be known as a tyrant, would allow his subordinates to retreat. Well, I was going to say kill random people, but I guess that part's not off the table. The foes who attacked Yuki had retreated as soon as they saw themselves in an unfavorable situation. And judging by the efficacy of their retreat, they clearly must have been given permission to retreat beforehand. So most likely the Castiglione family hadn't directly carried out the deed. However, it was just possible that the true culprit had sounded Castiglione out to see if he'd been willing to do it. Also, the GDS relationship to Primavera did worsen. It would be troublesome if the Castiglione family intervened. At the moment, the Don was the most important person for Zilong to meet with. Hey, how's it going, buddy? I heard about the incident with Richard's sister. It seems the funeral will be held Sunday. It's truly saddening for that to happen to one so young. True. I saw her once at the party marking Primavera's establishment. Fucking massive. The massive valley of her breast was quite alluring. If I met her in heaven, I'll definitely take a pass. That was just a joke. Don't take it seriously, Chinaman. Perhaps it was a tad difficult to understand for one as young as me. Forgive me for not laughing. Don Castiglione was a big man, who was supposedly past his prime. However, he hadn't lost any of the manly charisma and allure it took to enrapture young call girls. He smoked an expensive cigar as though chewing on it, as though there were several large rings with large jewels on his fingers, almost as if he was a king. After making it through several trials that could be called insane gambles, he had survived with his miraculous luck and built the Castiglione family. He used bullets to stop the battles over rights to Tokyo's rapid development, forming a group large enough to swallow all of City 7. All who took up arms against him or betrayed him were killed in his own special way, either ending up floating in the river or sinking in it. That was the man called Don Castiglione. I can guess why you've come here. I'm impressed by your powers of deduction, Don Castiglione. I had nothing to do with that attack, and I don't know anything either. I thought as much. I can't imagine anyone coming to you for a job as delicate as igniting a feud. Sure, just say that. You've got guts. I like the way you joke. Would it be desirable for you if we of the GDS and Primavera started fighting? Of course it would. Who'd complain if pizza dough and tomatoes started fighting it out in the oven? Or, that's what I'd like to say. You and Miss Rose are quick to make things get big. After all, you started up with such a massive war, and all because of that Wang caused a little trouble with the sauce made from soybeans, of all things. To be perfectly honest, you and City 23 are like a pair of gunpowder. Even if there's only sparks flying about, it worries us to no end. Apparently even the Warhawk Don Castiglione didn't want to struggle. It was so big it would go public. Since he had a tight relationship with the occupying forces, he couldn't do anything that would sour their mood, such as putting public safety at risk. However, ever since Primavera formed a family in City 23, there had been a massive gunfights almost every year. According to rumors he had heard, even the GHQ, which had been trying to shove it under the rug, had finally sent out a special officer to deal with organized crime. If a massive disturbance broke out in City 23 on top of all of this, the GHQ might actually run out of patience this time. If that happened, there would probably be a heavy crackdown on underworld forces across Tokyo, not just in City 23. Apparently Don Castiglione realized that, no matter how much he hated the GDS, it wasn't worth risking such a disaster. It isn't just me. This incident came as a total shock to the Orlandos, too. As far as I know, all the others were the same. That was probably true. The GDS had investigated all of them, all but everyone. Even the City 21 Orlando brothers and the Chiba Satomi Alliance had been taken a surprise. and all of them prayed that this wouldn't turn into a massive war of vengeance that might stir the wrath of the GHQ. There's no boss as stupid as me in Tokyo. And even I don't feel like being a party in such a troublesome scheme. So, you're saying there's no family in Tokyo that would offer troops for such a plan? If there is, please let me meet him. I'd like to see which of the two of us is stupider. So Dawn had reached the same conclusion as Ilong. There didn't exist any group that would carry out such an extraordinarily violent plan, yet to do it in the mechanical cold-headedness. They possessed such a large number of troops, all extremely well-trained and capable of moving as a group. They had been given plenty of the most modern weapons, and even an escape route. There was only one organization which could supply all of that. However, that organization wasn't a criminal underworld group. The name of just one organization floated in the back of Zilong's mind. However, that one possibility was eliminated by the violence and madness that led the casual involvement of American civilians. But does it? The Army of the United States of America. Let's see how the GHQ is doing. Operation Great Justice, personally arranged by Gabriel, had the GHQ high approval officials quivering. None of them had imagined that such an exemplary elite officers could have carried out a plan that left so many city folk as victims. If there had only been a few civilian victims, they probably would have shuffled Gabriel off somewhere in a hurry. However, Gabriel understood their temperaments even better than Butler did. Given the scale of the situation, they had no choice but to conceal it. And then he finally revealed his true colors to them, smiling with the mask of an angel. I can't believe it. I don't have a single clue what you're talking about. No, sir, please don't misunderstand. This is, without a doubt, me threatening you. If you have any desire to enjoy an honorable retirement, would you please agree to overlook the actions of my humble self for a while? Wait a second, Major. There must be some sort of mistake. A mistake? No, what could that possibly be? Many of the old men who believed him to be an angel couldn't even comprehend Gabriel's sudden change. Even after it was made clear that this was a threat, some of them still couldn't believe it. However, even they understood eventually. In order to take revenge of the deaths of his family, Gabriel had lit the flames of hatred among the residents of the criminal underworld. They saw that his angelic mask and all of his career up until now had existed for the sole purpose of this revenge. When they recognized that, they finally understood Gabriel's madness. This man really intended to have revenge against the criminal underworld at the cost of his own destruction. If they dealt with him carelessly, they might easily be destroyed themselves. And there you have it. There may be several considerable disturbances in City 23's near future. However, I will take responsibility and quell them all. Fear not. That's not the issue, Kaburaya. Won't you please just leave everything to me? That is, if you ever want to brag about your work to your beloved grandson, Thomas, once you retire and return home. You have nothing to gain by making a fuss. Kaburaya. None of them had anything to gain by making the disturbance bigger. If they got in the way of what he was about to attempt, everyone would be destroyed equally. That was the warning Gabriel had given them. The many pieces of evidence collected by Butler pointing to scandals among high officials were already in Gabriel's hands. That really sucks. The high officials, now aware of his true nature, hurriedly discussed how they were going to deal with this. The elections of universal suffrage planned to start next year would be a true showdown of American and Chinese control in Japan. If that was preceded by leaks of dozens of scandals among high officials, it would become a problem so large it might damage U.S. military influence in Asia. The staff officers discussed this at length, but in the end all that time was wasted on them reaching the simplest possible conclusion. Toe the line. That conclusion was that obeying Gabriel and settling this matter peacefully was their best course of action. In this era, when great countries of differing ideologies faced off in Japan, secret intelligence agencies were dominant under the surface, working out of sight. One of their main duties was to smooth the process of political maneuvering in Japan by gathering Japanese spies. Gabriel himself, though, he was on the surface a public order officer tasked with countering organized crime, had been given such a secret mission. The plan was him to win over or threaten Japanese mafias, then make use of them as spies for America. For that reason, he'd been given great authority, as an officer working for a secret institution. Gabriel must have gained his position so that he could use it to aid in his revenge. Even in the historical facts we know, there were secret American intelligence agencies operating in post-war Japan. 1951. In what is known as the Kaiji incident, the Japanese writer Kaiji Wataru was kidnapped, forced to work as a spy for a year, and tortured. The ones responsible for this incident, the Z Agency and the Cannon Agency, are rumored to have been behind the three major national rail incidences in the Showa period. Oh, what? Take the whatever. A beautiful Western-style house in Tokyo's Taito City, which is open to the general public. It's unlikely that there are many people today know the historical fact that was once the headquarters for the Cannon Agency. Activities of secret intelligence organizations are always buried in history. The men of this era would probably make the same choice. Understood. We'll do that, Chief of Staff. Gentlemen, from here on out, this case will be handled by Department 2. None of you are to interact with Major Kaburaya in any way. You're not permitted to aggravate him. This is not a personal problem of Major Kaburaya's, but an issue that could shatter our nation's political strategies at the highest level. Gabriel was far more cunning than even Butler. He had already taken steps to have several scandals become public if he were to die in an unfortunate accident. If that happened, then the Chinese, who controlled half of this country, would probably make a huge deal of it and investigate. There'd be no way to cover it up. By now, Gabriel was like an unexploded bomb with a fuse, and his authority was more than strong enough to blow up the GHQ, leveling it down to its foundations. I mean, it's just like a dead man switch, basically. The only way to deal with this unexploded bomb buried beneath the GHQ was to cautiously and slowly remove the fuse in the face of death. And while they were being cautious, Gabriel would probably have the time he needed for his revenge. Like, the idea is he gets his revenge and then you just fucking take him out. Like, that's all you can do if you're the GHQ. Otherwise, you really don't have any other options. Thanks to Operation, Madame Rose managed to cling to life by a thread. Hey, Rose. However, the fatigue from all of her hard work had left her body's endurance and resistance at a level disproportionate to her age. Beyond the bullet wound itself, various complications arose in her internal organs. She remained in a comatose state. The city folk had already learned about her being hit by a sniper. However, the fact that she was hovering on the brink of death had been suppressed. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much for your concern. It's true that Madame Rose was injured by the Hoodlum's attack. However, her life is not in danger and she's already making a satisfactory recovery. However, until the authorities get to the bottom of this crime, she's going to take care of herself and temporarily refrain from dealing with external affairs. Okay, you heard him. Let us through. Let us through. Richard, Primavera's really going to be okay, right? I'm so glad to hear that Madame Rose is alright. It truly is such a relief. Madame Rose's charisma was the foundation of Primavera. Though Richard had more talent in practical matters, Primavera couldn't exist without Rose. Right now, Richard's biggest job was to somehow calm the people who had been shaken to learn that Rose had been shot. Hello? Hello? It's me. Did you arrive safely? Yeah, no problems here. Looks like the man who told me about understanding, told me about understands our situation. Of course, he's preparing all of this for us. Feel free to rely on him. Was the hospital equipped to your satisfaction? Yeah, it was no worse off than any big hospital in Tokyo. The director also understands our situation and is helping out. I imagine the atmosphere is much nicer there than Tokyo. It should be better for Rose's recuperation than any hospital here. Right now, Wayne's group was far from Tokyo. They were in Shizuoka Prefecture. The damage from the disaster in that area had been relatively minor. Ah yes, the Shizuoka Prefecture, obviously. I know where that is. For that reason, it hadn't received the trampoline known as GHQ Reconstruction, making it one of the few cities that with any Japan left in it. In search of that Japanness, many Japanese refugees had gathered there and were forming a massive Japanese colony. Unlike Tokyo, it wasn't a mixture of Americans and Chinese and Japanese people. Though they didn't know who the culprit was, in these times when they couldn't trust foreigners, it was perhaps fair to call that area relatively safe. By now, Madame Rose was being moved there. Can we really trust the people here? Imagawa, the gang leader who greeted you, is a man I've known since my days as a moneylender. He made his wealth dealing in black market goods, and I was the one who backed him up with financing. And now he's set up his own castle and living shrewdly as the boss of a powerful organization. I see, so he owes you one. Oh, nothing as obligatory as that. At first, he hesitated to come to my aid. But the instant he learned I was Primavera's consigliere, he suddenly changed his mind. Life is very trying. I see. So even though we're in his care, it looks like we'd better not trust him. Well, I never intended to trust anyone. Is there anyone but you who could serve as Madame Rose's guard? Of course not. I wouldn't trust anyone. I'll keep her perfectly safe. Primavera still needs Rose. However, I will take responsibility and take care of City 23's work. If Rose wakes, I'd like you to tell her that, and tell her to focus on her recovery and peace. Understood. I'll protect Madame Rose, even if it costs me my life. Still, it is somewhat troublesome that we didn't manage to finish off Madame Rose. If she recovers, Primavera probably won't dance to my tune. Don't you know where they took her when she was carried off to the hospital? Her whereabouts are unknown, sir. Wayne's group had taken Madame Rose to Shizuoka. Sure. Secretly, almost as though they were kidnapping her. There's no helping it. It wouldn't do for them to go through formal channels and leave a trail pointing to some hospital there. Thanks to the success of this strategy, Gabriel had completely lost track of Madame Rose's whereabouts. Unless he pushed Richard into a feud before Madame Rose returned, Gabriel's plan would melt away. Though she had made bold decisions in the Soy Sauce War, she was prudent enough never to take actions without meticulously planning and calm decision-making. It is very possible that this prudence of hers might see through the forged letters. However, if Madame Rose didn't return, the letters would do splendidly. They would probably be enough to convince Richard and Cyrus and the like. Yeah, because they're fucking dumb and emotional. However, even then, they probably wouldn't start up a feud so easily. Surely someone would suggest that they might as well wait for Rose to regain consciousness before making their decision. Wayne 100% would, but they don't care about that right now. That's why he's over there. Leaders such as Wayne and Merrill, who had made much more solemn oaths to loyalty to Rose than Richard, would probably say that and delay the decision to start a feud. If they bought themselves time, that alone would help Richard regain his composure. There was always the possibility that the forged evidence wouldn't work, and it was also conceivable that someone could somehow prove that the GDS had been framed. What a pain, truly it is. How troublesome that we didn't finish off Madame Rose. Even as he said this, Gabriel's face only looked like someone impressed by a brilliant chess move made by his opponent. I'd like to make one more push. Do we have any suitable opponents, I wonder? Probably gonna attack Primavera itself, I'd imagine.